Hi everyone, I'm Andi Hadisutjipto. I'm a second year student and I'm going to talk to you today about something I call pattern matching 2.0. And before I introduce you to this idea, I'm going to introduce you to my nephew. That's that cute little guy on the left. And aside from that gleeful smile that he shares with Steve Jobs, he also shares a love for technology, for design, and for looking at what's going to be new. In fact, not long after this picture was taken, he told me that Steve Jobs was his hero. And I thought this was pretty amazing because I remember at his age, my heroes were celebrities and comic book characters and people other than Steve Jobs. And so this was really encouraging because these are the people that we're going to be. We're going to be future heroes for kids like my nephew. And this led me to Success Magazine's 50 most influential entrepreneurs of history. These are some pretty amazing faces, and I think we can recognize a lot of them. These are the people who have fundamentally changed their industries and changed the way that we see the world. But as I looked at this list a little bit more, I realized that I didn't look exactly like any of them. And it led me to wonder, is there something to this? Or is there something inherently patterned about the people who are going to be successful? This is a concept that we call pattern matching, and it's a phenomenon that we see in Silicon Valley and in the investment community. It's the act of looking at what has been successful before and making decisions based on that. CNN says in the business of investing, pattern matching defines a technique for figuring out what human traits, corporate makeup, and financial projections are the foundations for the next Facebook or other big internet success. So this is how investment decisions are being made, and it makes me wonder even more as an entrepreneur, am I going to be pattern matched out of the picture? The truth is that there are cosmetic patterns that are being taken into account. Things like gender, race, education, background. These are realities in the investment climate today. But even below the surface, we realize that only 39% of small businesses will ever make a profit in their lifetime. This means that when investors are looking at new companies, they want to make big bets. They only want to invest in companies that are going to make them a lot of money. And if you have a small but sound investment idea, you may be pattern matched out of the picture. And even below the surface, let's talk about motivations and why entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs. Investors see entrepreneurs as the 75% who are motivated by wealth. And so they're looking for certain characteristics. Are you talking about that upside? Do you have a little bit of hubris? And this is feedback that I've actually gotten when approaching investors, that I'm too nice, that I act like my time isn't as valuable as theirs, and it should be the other way around. And so these questions really came to mind. Am I really fit to be an entrepreneur? Are these things stacking up against me? But before we write off pattern matching altogether, let's talk about where it comes from. Can pattern matching actually be good? See, the truth is pattern matching is an inherently human thing. It's actually what makes us human. It makes our brains amazing because we have the capacity for abstract thought. This pentagon can be not just a blank shape, but it can mean a government building or a logo or a street sign. These things help us to connect and to progress as humans. So maybe it's not so much that we're pattern matching at all, but it's the fact that maybe we're matching the wrong patterns on some level. What happens when we look below the surface? Well, we see that entrepreneurs share some other things in common. They share an innate optimism that's kind of crazy when they think they can change the world. They also share a fear of failure. They're wondering how much they're putting on the line and if it's all going to be worth it at a higher level than a lot of people. And they share a desire to associate with one another, to share stories and to learn from each other. And so when we talk about what makes entrepreneurs inherently entrepreneurial and do we match to those patterns, we want to look a little bit deeper and understand when faced with these situations and these characteristics, how are they handled? How do people take care of them over time? So before you write off pattern matching altogether and think, is this really going to lead me to make the best decisions and investments, or am I going to miss some things? Recognize that pattern matching is actually useful and that we can get something out of it, and that's what makes us inherently human. And for you in this room, you will be those future investors. You're going to be those future consultants. And this is our chance to look below the surface and redefine pattern matching for ourselves. Thank you.